Dear learners, welcome to the module on globalization, social change and migration. This is the interactive multimedia component of this module, and we will have a series of discussions that introduces you to this module. In the first discussion, we will be focusing on the overview of this module, which is globalization, migration and social change. And in this first session, we are going to discuss about the evolution of the concept of globalization, and then we will look at some of the theoretical perspectives and concepts associated with it, and then we will also be actually discussing a bit lengthily on all these three themes which are running in the module, which is globalization, migration and social change. So today we have with us one of our senior lecturers from the University of Ruhuna. He's also the head of department of the Department of Sociology at the University of Ruhuna, Mr. Upali Panilage. Sorry. I welcome you warmly for this discussion session, and may I, to start off the discussion, may I first invite you to comment on the evolution of the globalization process.
Yes, when we talk about evolution of globalization process, there are two broad perspectives that the student has to understand and to study. The first perspective of the evolution of globalization is that it's a recent phenomenon which was emerged in the 20th century with the large scale expansion of capitalist economy, which was actually developed during the 18th and 19th century, but expanded into the world with some attempts from the Western countries during the 20th century, and is continuing as today as well. The second broad perspective on the evolution of globalization is that it's not a recent phenomenon. Okay. It was there in the world for centuries. For example, that some scholars argue that globalization was there since about 10,000 years ago, right? And according to this, I mean the evolution perspective, the emerge of the globalization, the history of emergence of the globalization goes back to the, I mean the thousands of years of history.
Okay, so Upale, what is the way in which for us to very simply tell our learners as to what globalization is, rather like, you know, how do you define it?
Yeah, when we I think when we talk about globalization in very broad sense, because this word has been used by many scholars in the aspect of economics, social sciences and other sciences as well. But if we try to understand very simple sense, but in broad way, the globalization is a process of greater level of interaction, and it's not only interaction, it is a greater level of integration as well as greater level of interdependence, because there are greater level of interaction. Because of that interaction, it also creates interdependence among the people, among the societies, and among the countries of the globe.
Okay. So, if I may ask you then to point to maybe a few key points in the globalization, like discussion for us, what are the key points of the evolution that we sort of take as examples?
Yeah, if we take the globalization as an evolution process, as some of the scholars argue, we can see basically three waves. The first wave of the emerge of the globalization process goes back to the history of one of the landmark that we can mention is the finding of the Silk Road after the fall of the Constantinople city. That was the first sort of landmark we can mention in the first wave globalization, the emergence. After that, the other very the important event which we could mention is the colonization, which was initiated during the 16th century, and it was the expand into the world 18th and 19th century, and the introduction of the finding of Silk Road, then the introduction of colonization, and then now it has become in the more wider level with the neo-colonization systems, which is there in the society.
So the digital age, is there a concept like that? I'm just imagining.
Yeah, we are talking about that we are in a digital world. It is the systems of the information technology has been the widespread around the world. The students now we can't see any student without the mobile phone. The mobile phone is not just a mobile phone, right? It has many aspects now, many features, even we don't know what are the characteristics of mobile phone that they use. They are well connected with the other world. It's
Right.
not now no more now they are in the isolated. Even in a small village, they are connected. That is what why I said that it's interconnection, and they are connected to the world.
Right. So globalization actually then emphasizes so much on this interconnectivity, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then you did mention about this, I think, 3 waves. Can you expand a little bit on that? Maybe, as theoretical perspectives, which are sort of broadly explaining the process of globalization.
No, when we talk about evolution, the 3 waves basically, those are some of the the landmarks, the waves actually, because as I mentioned, the trading was there in the world for centuries. But as I mentioned earlier, the finding of the Silk Road, it's open new avenues for Western Europeans to reach the market in the Asia. Then that is the first way of globalization. In the process of the evolution process. But as I mentioned, the second wave, the colonization, we know it linked with many other things. It's it's finding market, but it linked with the introduction of the religion was there, some of the cultural aspect, because especially those Western cultures which included the religion was expanded to the countries like ours in Asia, Latin America, and Africa, especially by the Britain, the Portuguese, Dutch, and France. And those are the main aspects that we could understand in the evolution process of globalization.
Okay.
We can come into the next level of this theoretical aspect when we talk about the theoretical aspect of globalization.
Okay, right. Okay, so that was about the evolution. So next one, I think we will then sort of try to, give learners, sort of very specific idea as to sort of what are the key theoretical perspectives that we are going to discuss in this module.
Yes, I think the student can learn more about globalization theories when they study unit 3 on globalization theories. But since this is an introductory session, in broad sense, the students should understand there are again the 3 waves of globalization theories. So in the first wave globalization theories, we call them as hyperglobalists. So these hyperglobalists basically they argue with the expansion of globalization process, the national economics no more there. The national economics are there, but their role, there is no role for national economics as a result of greater level of expansion of the international economy.
Right.
And that's the comes with that the global concept of global village. The whole globe is one globe. That is the the main argument of the hyperglobalists, and that's one of the theory, the broad perspective of theory that the student should understand when we study the globalization theories.
Right. So no more national, it goes beyond national, and there is no control like within the national, then it will go beyond that.
Yeah, because the boundaries, now we are talking about some village boundaries, district boundaries, country level boundaries, right? With the this large scale expansions of globalization process, right, there are no more boundaries. That is the the main concept there, right? Boundaries are there. You can see that for example, Sri Lanka as an island, you can see there are boundaries, but as a concept, because although we are within those boundaries, that is only physical boundaries. But the globe, and we are part of the whole globe, and the world is just like one global village. That is the main theory behind that.
Okay, so to go to the next one.
The second wave globalization theories, they are mainly talking about this, the role of nation state, but their argument is also although nation state is there, with the expansion of governance, the law, right, and those sort of mechanism, the whole globe, like a global polity, right? It's a whole the global political culture, right? Because of that, the politically also the whole the members of the society connected into the globe, although they have some traditional or their own systems of governance, the whole world is governed by the global political systems.
Right. Okay. So what would be the next level?
Yeah, that we call is as the transformation. The transformatives. The third wave globalization. I think they are very much linked with the when I talk about that the evolution of globalization. I mentioned that the globalization is a process which was emerged in the world for centuries, and it was there for centuries, and it was a gradual process. This transformationists, they are mainly argue there is no such attempted the phenomena there, right? There is no no one is promoting this.
Right.
It is it's very much linked to our next discussion on this social change as well, because it's a changing and gradual transformative process, right? That is the the transformative aspect of the globalization theories of the third wave of globalization.
Thank you. And then Upali, can you just name a few for the first category of theories, like if you can name a couple of theories for each category, the hyper globalists what is the second category called?
It's skeptics.
Yeah, skeptics, and then the third one, the transformative. Yeah. So, do you have anybody, key people that you would recommend for our learners to sort of, look for information in this regard?
I think this should comes at a later stage when we talk about globalization theories in detail.
The specific ones. No? Yeah. All right. Okay. Then I want to very quickly ask you, how do we sort of establish the link between globalization, migration, and social change?
Yeah, I think when we talk about, because this introductory session is on globalization, migration, and social change, so definitely migration is one of the aspects of globalization. There are, we know that there are, in migration, and also there are out migration, and also in the concept of, we know that voluntary migration, also post migration, right? There are two contradictory aspects to there. The one argument is that some of the scholars argue that due to the globalization process, take one example. So the globalization promote, just an example, the multinational companies can come and invest in that so-called third world country, for example, in Sri Lanka. Right? If they invest there, then there are some job opportunities, and then people don't want to immigrate from that country to other countries. So if that happen, and there won't be migration in theoretically, but in practice that's not happening, because in migration there are push factors as well as pull factors, right? The link here is due to what we call is that we call is as a development, large scale development of information communication, the transport, and other, the access to knowledge and media. The people are no more, as I mentioned earlier, no more in those isolated physical boundaries. They tend to migrate from one place to another. Right. That has been eased by the this new technological developments.
Right. So, are there any other sort of aspects of social change? I mean, one is migration that we are going to cover in this module, Upali.
Yeah, there are the many aspects, but if I mention just we know the migration is one of the social change, and definitely in the broader sense, if you understand the concept of diaspora, because it's part of migration, it has links. But when we talk in broad sense, the globalization and social change, the globalization itself is a part of social change, right? If we go back to the classical sociologists like Karl Marx or the Max Weber or the Durkheim, all those theorists, they explain the process of social change. If you just take one example of Marx's theory, because he explained the evolution of the society from his the historical materialism analysis on the social materialism, from the one level to another, from the primitive level to the the other levels. So that is the process of the social change.
Right. I think we have adequately discussed as to what the module is going to be like to the learner. Thank you very much for a very enlightening piece of discussion.
Thank you. I think it's helpful for students.